October 6th, 2023. I remember sitting in our sukkah. Each of our children were allowed to invite a friend and invite their families over. And I remember eating and laughing and celebrating with a naive innocence and a simple bliss. And then, of course, we all woke up to October 7th. Israel, the Jewish world, we were all changed forever. But fast forward to October 8th, 2025. This week, also sitting in my sukkah, we celebrated my son's 12th birthday, which means 1 year from now is his bar mitzvah. And my kids, again, innocently decided to make mini Sukkot out of graham crackers and pretzels and frosting, and it felt eerily similar to 2 years prior, because all of a sudden our phones started to ring. We leave our phones on in case of emergencies or major world announcements. Message after message. The auspicious announcement that the first phase of the Trump peace agreement was agreed upon by both Israel and Hamas. Could this really be true? Our hostages coming home. Now I know that everything can turn on a dime. We know that's the essence of Sukkot, that everything is fragile, almost nothing is certain. But I'm choosing to be cautiously optimistic. Sinai Temple, God willing, within days, our hostages are coming home. I'm hopeful and I'm grateful. And I think about what our holidays have looked like for the past 2 years. Every single one of our rituals have changed because the Jewish heart has been permanently paralyzed. We are all emotionally and spiritually living as if it is still October 7th. Remember on Hanukkah, some of us would add an extra night of lighting the Hanukkah to remember the hostages that are plunged into darkness. On Passover, raise your hand, how many of us added an extra chair to remember a hostage and include their story in the narrative of the Jewish people? We read Haggadot prepared by families in the kibbutzim, those that witnessed the horror and the heartache. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we put up this sign, letting our congregation and the world know that it will stay up until every single hostage is safely brought home, either to reunite with loved ones or brought home for proper burial. On this very bima, we have spoken with IDF soldiers, Nova Festival survivors, families of current hostages. October 7th and its ensuing trauma has been woven within the narrative of our holidays, our traditions, our sermons, how we approach decisions about security, Jewish identity, and Jewish peoplehood. It has been October 7th for 2 very long years. But on October 8th, 2025, it feels like we are slightly shifting. Like many of you, just as I just did right this moment, when we received that historical milestone, the news of this historical milestone, I let out a sigh of relief that I didn't realize I had been holding for over 700 long, disturbing, suffocating days. Now, over the last few days, I couldn't help but think about the Jewish slaves in Egypt. Our ancestors awaiting liberation, suffering, crying, some even becoming numb to the constancy of their pain. And the Midrash explores this, that when the Jews fled Egypt, they were understandably fearful. They were told that freedom was coming, but how could they be sure? Was this really the moment in which they would be released from the shackles of Egyptian tyranny? And oddly, when they are walking through that miraculous scene of the sea of reeds splitting, we recall the famous image of Miriam and the women dancing with their timbrels. But the Midrash is perplexed by this. How is it possible that of all the things that Jewish slaves decided to bring with them, how could they possibly have musical instruments with them as they crossed through the water? But the rabbinic response, these Jewish slaves, they just knew. They just knew that God would perform miracles for them, and so they decided to prepare tambourines and timbrels while they were still in Egypt. Meaning even while they were still enslaved, they never gave up hope. Does this sound familiar? We've been depressed and angry and heartbroken and raged, knowing that even though everything can change in an instant, but the one aspect of the Jewish spirit that can never be diminished, whether in Egypt, in Auschwitz, in Treblinka, whether fleeing Iran, or underground in the tunnels of Gaza, nothing can take away the power of Jewish hope. And what fuels Jewish hope is our unwavering, dedicated, irrefutable faith and unshakable pride in who we are. We have never lost hope in the story of the Jewish people. So if the events of October 7th, 2023 through October 8th, 2025 taught us anything, as much as the outside world would like to push us down, we will never let our voices, our actions, ideals, beliefs, our role as a Jewish people diminish in the face of terror and evil. A few final thoughts. What do you do when you experience answered prayers? Now, you will often see congregants come up onto this bima for an aliyah to the Torah, and they engage in a ritual called benching gomel. It's a prayer that someone says often after surviving a car accident, an illness, sometimes coming home after a long and difficult journey. And the prayer translates as follows: "Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the world, who rewards the undeserving with goodness, and who has rewarded me with goodness." But I don't want to pretend for a second that we are the ones that survived October 7th. Benching gomel just doesn't seem right. Now, there's another blessing in which you thank God for experiencing a miracle in a particular place. Blessed are you, Lord our God, master of the universe, who performed for me a miracle in this place. But this too, we're sitting in Los Angeles. We're not even in Israel. We're certainly not in Gaza. This prayer also just doesn't fit. And so I know it's the festival of Sukkot, but for a moment, because I believe this moment calls for a little bit of ritualistic innovation, I want to bring a piece of Hanukkah into October. Because if you remember, when we light the candles on the first night of Hanukkah, we recite 3 blessings. So 2 additional blessings to the regular blessing in which we light the candles. And these 2 additional blessings, I think, are the ones we are meant to recite this morning. And so I hope you'll indulge me, because I want us to recite these prayers this morning, because I believe we're in a moment in which our prayers have been answered. If you know the tune, and Rabbi Taft's going to help me, and so will the cantor. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, bayamim hahem, bazman hazeh. Let me explain first. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who performed wondrous deeds for our ancestors in this season. But avotenu, that's what ancestors are translated as, can also be translated to our fathers. But today, with a little bit of rabbinic privilege, I'm extending it in a very loose translation to our family. So now hear the translation. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who performs wondrous deeds for our family in this season. God, thank you for performing a miracle for our hostages, our brothers, our sisters, our family. And finally, the blessing of Shehechianu. If you feel comfortable knowing that we have reached the holiest time, a time unlike any other that I have personally witnessed, let's recite the prayer together. In the same Hanukkah nusach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who grants us life, who sustains us and enables us to reach this moment, the moment of return for those who have been held captive, who have been taken away from us for so very long. Now, I am very well aware that the next 24 to 48 very long hours, this is going to be torturous, until the actuality of these answered prayers comes fully into fruition. But this morning, I hope that you will join me in choosing to be like Miriam, choosing to be like all of the people who were still awaiting freedom while slaves in Egypt. In a way, in writing this sermon and delivering this sermon, I have packed my tambourine and my timbrel. Rest assured, when our hostages come home, I will be singing. Dear God, may this be the miracle that we see in our lifetime. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.